Hello, this is Art Games. This is a tutorial on how to combine Photoshop with AI. Specifically, a technique where you start the painting and at whatever point you want, you ask the AI to suggest small improvements to it. And I'll show you what you mean. As you can see, I've got here a painting of Durin from Tolkien's mythology. He's standing on a rock, that's overlooking a dark lake. It's daytime, but the enchanted waters of the lake are reflecting the crown of Durin above his head. All right. So I have this connected to my AI program here, and a very basic pipeline here, which I will explain later after I help you install it. But basically, I have my positive prompt here. A stocky dwarf stands on a pile of boulders above a dark pool of water. Deep blue sky behind him. The water reflects him and the boulders. Low-angle camera, dramatic lighting. There is a large hammer resting on the ground next to him. The dwarf wears a gray robe, bright green grass, painterly style. Okay, very basic. Then I run Q, and you see it's called my image from Photoshop. Now it's thinking about it. It's saying, how can I make this image look even more like the prompt? All right, so it's finished thinking about it, goes to that, and then boom. It gives some very minor adjustments to it. As you can see, it's changed the dwarf's position. It's add a little bit of texture to the rock. This is not exactly what I was expecting, but you know, with it, if you do this multiple times and then only select the parts that you want, you can create something pretty cool. As you can see, it's like added some texture to the grass here and done something funny to the stars. That's strange. But anyway, let's go back to Photoshop and see what's happened. Okay, so it has sent the AI-generated image and put it on top of my previous artwork. So I'm going to toggle between my old artwork and my new artwork. Old artwork, new artwork. Now, I don't necessarily want to keep all of the suggestions it made, so I'm going to create a mask, if I can find the action I use here. Okay, so I've masked out the AI-suggested improvements, and now I can go and add in the parts that I want. So just a little bit of that, a little bit of that. I'm not sure I like that pose for the dwarf, so maybe I'll just leave it as it is. The hammer, maybe a little bit better. Some of this texture on the rock is pretty good. As you can see, not a lot has changed, but if I toggle between where I started and what I have now, it's made some slight improvements. Now there are other examples that would be more dramatic, but this is actually kind of good because it just shows you, it suggests little improvements you can make. It tightens things up, it makes the outlines a little bit better, that sort of thing. I have other videos where this is demonstrated a bit better, but this is sufficient for what I'm doing right now. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is to install something called ComfyUI on your computer. And I'm not actually going to walk you through that part. There are some very excellent tutorials on YouTube already for how to do that. And I'll put a link to one of them in the description. I think the one I used was this one from Sebastian Kampf or Kampf. I'll have to double check that, but whatever link is in the description is the one for how to install ComfyUI, as you can see there. All right, so once you install ComfyUI, I recommend that you play around with it a little bit. Just try putting in some prompts in the basic node network that comes with the program, and like type in nice tree with blue background or whatever you think would be cool, and play around with that a little bit, and then come back here and I'll show you how to connect it to Photoshop. All right. So I have made this pipeline available as a JSON file, a JSON file, however you pronounce that. I'll also put a link in the description. You'll be able to download it, and it will look something like this, or look exactly like this. Art Gains Photoshop underscore low res 001 JSON. All right. And you'll just get that JSON file. Very simple. Open up a new tab in ComfyUI and drag that JSON file in here. And it will just appear. Pretty simple. Now it won't work right away. You'll have to install some other things, some custom nodes and the data manager. Now, I was kind of dreading making this tutorial because I thought I would have to explain how to install a whole bunch of custom nodes, but actually it turns out it's just it's basically just one, plus the data manager. So to get the manager, the ComfyUI manager, you go to Civet AI and type in ComfyUI manager. And as you can see, it automatically pops up there. I apologize if I'm speaking too very quickly. You can slow this down if you want. But you click on that, and it should pop right up. And there's installation instructions down here. Let's see. So download it. Click on the download button. Version, features, GitHub install guide. Okay, install guide. This is the installing the ComfyUI manager. Download it, extract the compressed file, and move the bat file to your ComfyUI installation folder. So let's take a look at that. That should be... So this is my ComfyUI installation folder. It's called ComfyUI Windows Portable. Click on that. And you just drag and drop the bat file, which you just downloaded, and put it right there. Okay, let's see what else it says. Double click on the bat file. So double click on that. And then restart ComfyUI if you already have it open. You have to restart ComfyAI a lot. You'll find when you install it, whenever you put in a new checkpoint or a LoRa or whatever, you'll have to restart ComfyUI in order to use whatever you just installed. Okay, so once you have that installed, this manager will be available here. You can click on that, and this will open up, which is a bit more complicated than the preview image from Civet AI. They've improved it since they made this thumbnail. So we have the ComfyUI manager menu, and you want to go down to Custom Nodes Manager and type in Photoshop. And let's see, where is it? Is it? Yeah, this is it. SD-PPP, and there'll be an install button. I already have it installed, so I've got this colorful bunch of buttons here. Just install it, and then you'll have to restart ComfyUI one more time. And then you're almost there. Not quite, but you're getting there. So once you restart ComfyUI, this node here will be available. It will already be there because it's in the JSON file, but it won't work. So anyway, this node here will be available. And let's see here. There should be seems to be missing something. Oh, I know. Let me just turn Photoshop off. That'll fix things. Disconnect Photoshop. Okay. So you'll get this button here, Download PS Plugin, which is a CCX file. Click on that, this installation guide will pop up, and you'll also be able to download the CCX file that you need. How to use the CCX file. If you have Adobe Creative Cloud, which you probably do if you already have Photoshop, just double click on the CCX file straight from your download directory, and that's that. And then it should be immediately available in Photoshop, I think. You might have to restart Photoshop, I don't know, but this will allow ComfyUI to connect to Photoshop. So let's go back to Photoshop. So I already have this installed. If this little window is not available, I believe you have to go to, let's see, go to plugins. There we go, plugins, and the plugin should be right there. So just click on that. This will show up, and you'll have to click this. Yeah, make sure that this window looks like this. You can minimize that, and you should be good to go. You can select which Photoshop file you want. It. In this case, you have the option of the active document or my Jurin painting. Both of these will give you the same output because I only have the one file open. So I'm just going to click on Jurin. And that's our input. This is get image from Photoshop, and this is send image to Photoshop. You also want to select the correct Photoshop file. It doesn't really matter, like I said, because I just have the one file open. And you'll also have the option of placing your new generated image onto a new layer, or on top of one of your previous layers, which I don't recommend. Just use new layer, and that's that. And all of these other settings, oh, I forgot. You also want to download at least one checkpoint. So I have the Epic Realism checkpoint installed here. I don't have any LoRa's installed. It's not necessary for this. I mean, if you want to use a LoRa, which you should know about once you install ComfyUI, you just put it right in here, just drag out from model, put in LoRa loader, and choose a LoRa from whatever you've already installed and bring it down to model again. But I don't need it for this, so I'm just going to delete that. If I'm talking too quickly, just let me know, and I will make another version of this tutorial, in which I am a bit more slower paced, because I am quite excited about this. I can't help but be a bit quick in the way that I'm speaking. I'll try to slow down. I've been trying to do some audio recording for my audiobook recently, and intentionally slowing down how fast you talk when you're it's a skill. Intentionally speaking at a reasonable pace. Let's see, am I forgetting anything? Oh yes, how to get this checkpoint. Okay, so we go back to Civet AI, and if you want this checkpoint, it's a good checkpoint. I recommend getting this one. Just type in Epic Realism, and you'll get a bunch of different stuff popping up. The one you want should be the first one. It'll say checkpoint here, SD1. This one over here would also probably work. Right, so just download that and put it in your checkpoint folder in your ComfyUI installation folder. Click on ComfyUI, models, checkpoints, and just stick it in there. And of course, restart ComfyUI. Restarting ComfyUI means more than just closing the browser window, okay? You have to close the browser window and also close this. So to finish off, I'm going to give another brief demonstration of what you can do with this. I'm going to try to begin to paint a tree on a hill. Okay, so what I'll do is I will create a new empty Photoshop folder with 1024 by 512. You want to do multiples of 512 or 124 for your dimensions. If you start out with a very high resolution Photoshop file, you'll want to use a different pipeline, which I will probably make a tutorial for that as well sometime. But you probably want to start with a fairly low resolution image, such as you can see, 1024 by 512. Okay, so let's try this. Get my paintbrush and just give myself a nice burnt umber background. Okay. Grab a nice dark green for my hill. Now let's put some highlights on there for sunlight. And a bit of dark colors for the back. And want to put some bright blue sky in the background. The sun is presumably over on the left, so we'll make the sky a little bit brighter over on this side. Good enough. All right, now for our tree, get some of this dark green. Let's get a slightly different shade of green though for our tree here. Some nice, bright, colorful highlights in there. And our trunk, which will be a nice, we do brown? No, let's do more of a dark umber. Something like that. And a bit of a shadow. Good enough. Let's go back to, all right, so I want a different prompt here than this. And I want to keep this prompt. So I'll just drag it up, Alt drag. So it's there on the page, but it's not active. Well, if I want to make it completely inactive, I press Control M to make it, to turn it off. And now I'll type in a single solitary tree on a green hill, blue sky background. Should be good enough. Painterly style, that's very important if you want to maintain a painterly style. You could use Allura to achieve that, I guess. I mean, you'd still have to put the prompt in, but that certainly helps if you're going for a certain look. And make sure we have the correct file selected, untitled. I have save image turned off. If I Control M, that'll, for mute, that will turn it on, but I don't want to save it because it's already being sent to Photoshop, so I turn that off. I forgot to mention that earlier. Oh, and I forgot to also mention that the settings here, if you do some basic tutorials for ComfyUI, you'll learn what all of these do. They do have an effect on certain things, but until you learn what they do, just leave most of these alone. The only one you really care about is the denoise value. A denoise of 0 will output an image which is identical to the input image. If you set it to 1, that will be completely different from your input image, and it will just literally use your prompt to create a completely original image. If you put it somewhere in the middle, the output image will be will draw elements from the input image. So for this purpose, I usually set it really low, such as 1.4. All right, so that should be all set up, and I press Q. It grabs my original image, thinks about it, and then it spews out an image which is slightly improved. It has some changes to it. So let's go back to Photoshop, take a look at what it did, and skew back and go back and forth between the two images. As you can see, still looks much the same, but it's added a little bit more definition and that sort of thing. It's got rid of the strange dottiness of my brush and turned it into something that looks a lot more like a tree trunk. And that could really speed up my painting process quite a bit. So if you just, if you want to complete this painting, you can just periodically, between bouts of painting, send it through the AI and just save some time, speed things up, skip forward in time 15 minutes or so, or however long it takes you to paint something. Speed up your painting process. It's made some mistakes. For instance, the trunk doesn't reach all the way down to the ground here, which is incorrect, so I'll have to go in and fix that. Whoops, I'll have to create a new layer. Create new layer. And fix this. A little bit darker. And let's see, there should be some highlights on this trunk, I think. So let's get some very grayish yellow. Brush very small and just dot in a bit of highlights there on the tree trunk. And also remember, you can create a mask. So this is my original image, the background. This second layer is the AI assisted artwork. And I've created a mask. It's all black, so none of the AI is showing, AI generated imagery is showing. Turn my brush white. And then I can mask in whatever parts of the AI that I like. Little by little, you can add little improvements to your artwork and seriously speed things up. This is very cool. I've already started using it to improve some of my artwork. If you want to help me out so that I can continue bringing you videos like this and other tutorials, you can consider getting my book, The Screaming Void, if you like John Carpenter's The Thing, or the Alien franchise, or the Chronicles of Riddick. You might like my book too. There's links in the description. If you had any problems setting up this system for yourself, let me know and I might be able to help you out. I might make a further video, which I go into further detail if it's necessary. This sort of thing is the future of AI, I think, and the future of Photoshop. People have a lot of criticism for AI-generated art, and some of it is quite valid, but this I think is an application for AI art, which is quite exciting, and doesn't fill me with dread. This is so cool.